Tonight's meeting and welcome our new staff. And let's get started. First, we'll have our invocation by our county chaplain, Ms. Root.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Father, we thank you for this evening. Thank you for this day that you created. And all the wonderful gifts you give us, the air to breathe, the ability to move about and to think and to reason together. And we pray that your wisdom would prevail over this meeting. And that we would be kind and thoughtful in doing it. Also a special gratitude and appreciation. My heart, I pray in all of our hearts for this country in which we live, this celebration that we have, that we are truly blessed, and that we are thoughtful about that, the rights we have in this country. Of our neighbor. That we do, they consent.
Thank you. And if you just want to keep going.
Yes, all right, so the next on the agenda was the approval of the minutes from the June 19th, 2017 meeting. Mr. Chairman, as we discussed prior to the meeting, there's perhaps a defect, a number of defects rather, with the minutes that were presented to the commission prior to this meeting. What we're going to have is staff go back over the recording, the video and audio recording of that meeting, present the minutes in a more fine-tuned fashion at your next meeting. So then if there are any amendments at that point, there should be less, and it should.
Thank you.
All right.
Any public comment tonight? Mr. Markovich. Thanks, Tom. Mr. Markovich.
I'm not sure exactly where the discussion is for the staff, for the new staff. My name is Tom Markovich, and I happen to hang out here a little bit. Anyway, one of the discussion items that caught my eye on the agenda is this plat approval. And I'm not sure exactly where this discussion is headed, why exactly it's on the agenda. But I will say this. The subdivision ordinance, or the land development regulations that were put into place in 2002 was done at a great deal of discussions between the planning department, the county attorney at that time, developers, and trying to come up with a system that would both be very good to the county but also expedite the process of developing land and getting approvals. As I'm sure all of you know, there is a very detailed procedure that is pretty much laid out in state law, and right down to the fact that it generally gives us 60 days, or gives the planning department 60 days to approve a new subdivision or land development project. And I have heard it rumored that there has been some suggestion that maybe the Planning Commission should be signing off on some of these developments. And I would argue that what's been put into place has been put into place by ordinance. And basically, I mean, we've set up a whole criteria of performance standards. And as long as whoever is doing the developing meets these particular requirements, it becomes it's a staff checkoff, and it's just that simple. And it really kind of alleviates the Planning Commission from having to come in and chime in on every single land development. I'm not sure. Now, that's not to say that if there is something that is deemed incorrect in the way that the staff handle it or whatever, Planning Commission can chime in anytime regardless. They've got that right. You act as a quasi-judicial board in cases of land development, and so there's plenty of opportunity for the Planning Commission to. So I guess what I'm saying, I would be very cautious about changing the process of how it's works right now. It seems to work pretty well, except when we move stuff out of it and put it in zoning. And then leave ourselves without a way to build multifamily housing. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Now, would staff like to make a presentation on this?
Yeah, let me cover, I don't know what presentation you had. Mr. Chairman, if I may, it's a good segue from Mr. Markovich's comments. There's no motion to change any of the procedure. This is a function of Mr. Gordo's leaving. He has certain plat approval authority and duties that he carried out. And now that Adam and Bill, Adam Chapman and Bill Higgins are here, that we just designate them to have the same powers that Mr. Gordo's had, all other final plat approvals being reserved to the community development director as they have been. So there's no change, it's really just substituting personnel in, so we're sure that we're covered for what Mr. Gordo's did.
Okay.
That's the essence of it, and a motion to that effect could be made as, you could say, I move, President Chapman and Mr. Huggins to take over the responsibilities that Mr. Gordo's had, consistent with the statement by the county attorney.
Okay.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Thank you.
The next item was, that's where I'm supposed to talk, is the Scenic Highway Committee. That is a committee that we've had difficulty, we being from the council, county council perspective, difficulty filling over the course of time. And demarcate it out and say, we've got Highway 11, it's because it's state scenic highway. For our part, for the county, we only have a portion of Highway 28 that was designated under our ordinance. It is still in place. We made a move because we couldn't populate that committee to get rid of the committee, to still keep the ordinance kind of in place and functioning for what had been approved. And there's some outcry with that. Public saying, don't get rid of this committee, don't get rid of this avenue, we may want to do it in the future. Don't do it. So council referred it to one of its committees, Planning and Economic Development Committee. They have to do some research on how we could reorchestrate this committee and make it so populate better or get rid of it. I reported back to that committee, the essence of how it flows is you have a community organization. All right, we've got a highway, roadway that we want to designate as a scenic highway. In essence, what that means is if you have someone who's not an owner or an agent of an owner or something like that, they can't farm the property outside of the right of way. It's essentially to keep it scenic. They're not going to remove brush, flora, etc. I mean, that's the essence of it. It doesn't say a whole lot more than that. We get signage. That's what the ordinance does. The way it's written now, or outside entity, private entity, would bring a petition to the planning department and say, we want this portion of highway whatever to be designated as a scenic highway. Planning department would then submit that to the scenic highway committee, would study it, have a public hearing, make a recommendation to the planning commission, you all, who would then do a report and send it to the county council to make a final decision on whether or not to take it in as a scenic highway. Since we couldn't populate or had a hard time populating that scenic highway committee, we wanted to figure out a better way to do it. And they sent me back to ask you all if one of two things. One, if you would just want to get rid of the scenic highway committee as an intermediate step, so the planning department brings those petitions if they ever have them straight to the planning commission for you all to handle it. Or if we have one, the planning department receives it, brings it to you all, and y'all could create an ad hoc committee for the purpose of evaluating that petition. And that was the Economic Development Committee's, council's committee's recommendation. They wanted me to talk to you all about it. Of the mind that the county attorney drafted an ordinance to the effect that petitions will go to the planning department and then to the planning commission to designate an ad that petition, put it back to the planning commission, evaluation, I can do that. Or we don't have to do that ad hoc committee, and it just comes to y'all for that.
Would the ad hoc committee be planning commission members, or could they appoint from within the community where the highway is?
It'd be better to be, because you're a representative body, it'd be better to be planning commission members. When we do it otherwise, I think that we, the outside entities and factors that may, as it could. Just having you all appoint a small number.
How many seats that can you not fill?
I don't think we feel any, and they haven't met in several years.
And
We have
perhaps
a
the
list
people
of,
that complain should fill the seats? Perhaps the people that have complained should fill the seats?
Yeah, we had a great, and there's an outpouring of complaints, but none of them, we did bring that up.
So-
In a sarcastic way, but hey, since you're interested. And there wasn't a turnout, there wasn't that response like, yeah, we'll do that.
So what you're saying, either it would come straight to us, or it would come to a smaller portion of us. So why even have why not just come straight to us, and if a few of us are gonna make
That's
a
what I would
decision,
think.
I would
basically,
think
we
it
might as
would.
well all make it together.
Sounds
unless we have
simpler.
some huge list of a long line waiting for this to occur, it should just come straight to us and we deal with it.
That's what I would think.
Is there a way are there criteria
There are.
for scenic highways?
Yeah, there's
Could you make it such that if they met those criteria, it would be a staff decision, and then if there were other things that needed to come to us, or no?
Well, the staff would work, analogous matters, but the staff would work with the petitioner to make sure it got on all fours, and they had all the necessary elements within the
And then bring it
petition,
to us.
and that it did meet. So they do that initial legwork, so they don't give something to y'all that's just a fail right off the bat. They give something to y'all that would meet up in the back.
I'm fine with that.
I think that switch should work, yeah.
Do we need a motion on that?
Yeah.
Okay, so,
So that we do it as a whole body instead of
Instead of a subcommittee.
instead of.
So you need a motion that we remove the scenic highway committee, and that petitions come to the planning staff, and once it's approved by staff, they bring it to the commission as a whole.
Evaluated by the staff.
Right, okay, evaluated by staff.
Okay, that's my motion.
second? I'll second. Is there any other discussion? All in favor? Okay, so-
On discussion, I mean, I'm in favor of it, let's vote on it, but, can we have some, information on what the scenic highway program is in Oconee County?
Absolutely. And that's, so we're working towards getting more formal with the procedures here. I know we had a kind of a format forum with the planning commission. So once we have the motion and the second, discussion could be on any number of issues related to that motion, could be amendment or just a question like that. The scenic highway mission committee is, let's say it's 26. In the Oconee County Code of Ordinances, it's section 26-151 through 157, which is the second appendix. And that's about 6 pages. See, I know you don't want me to read that to you, it's a lot to it.
No.
But what we could do, if you could just study that for next time, because I'm gonna bring the ordinance back to y'all, it's not gonna go directly to council. Bring it back to y'all for the next meeting. And then you can look over there, see how it lines up with your understanding of the ordinance, flesh it out, make sure it looks good to y'all, and then we'll send it to council.
You call for the vote on it?
Yeah. All in favor? All right. Mr. Root, I understand, so our next two items, we're just gonna table those until the next meeting?
That would have to be a motion made by y'all, since they're on the agenda, and this will be another chance to help us get formal and tight. You all operate under the same rules of parliamentary procedure that council does, and it's importantly here, the same provisions of the Freedom of Information Act. So items that are not on the agenda, or in a limited few circumstances, cannot be added to the agenda once our meeting starts. Likewise, items that are on the agenda need to be disposed of formally as opposed to just saying, "All right, somebody saying like the chair, although he has authority over the agenda headed in, unless we're here, they need to be disposed of formally." So they, at this point, a motion can be made to postpone, or a motion can be made to table, or in order. I've done a bunch of, I guess, explanatory little memos to council that I can retool to do to you all, or what the different motions mean that might be helpful. The main difference is if you do a motion to table here, and you don't take it up at the next meeting, then it would automatically die. That's not really gonna make any difference for the way y'all are considering this. So, motion to table item number 7. If you have a second, have a discussion, or someone could make a motion that they want to do something else with item number 7.
At our last meeting, we assigned to staff to make a presentation on this, and seems to me we just need to wait on that presentation. Everybody seemed to be in favor of both of these issues.
Right.
But the presentation was to be, put both of these things in terms, legal terms that we could present to council.
And Mr. Chairman, if I
Yes.
may, Mr. Graham, that's my takeaway from it was, the ball was in my court to draft ordinances that reflected what I understood, and this goes back to the minutes issue, what I understood to be the commission's directive as to both items 7 and 8. I was of the mind that we didn't have a meeting tonight. So Mr. Pearson told me Thursday that we didn't. Of course, we had another big issue, which was Mr. Flores leaving, Adam coming in, so he and I need to work on this ordinance as well, so.
Well,
We don't have anything, and hopefully we will for the next meeting. But I will say, as far as the motion being made, I know that there's some thoughts about maybe this needs to be discussed more, or different direction given to us. That wouldn't be really out of order, so long as we did not take away what I need my initial directives to be. So if someone wanted to supplement it in this meeting, perhaps that would be,
Mr. Chairman,
does that make sense?
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion that we table, number 7. Do we have to do them individually?
That'd be better.
Okay, table, number 7 until next meeting, and pick it up that for further discussion at that time.
I'll second that.
Second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
I also would like to make a motion that we table number 8 for the same reason, and we can take it up for further discussion at our next meeting.
I'll second.
Second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any old business to discuss?
If I could, Mr. Chairman, just since I'm having this time, have your undivided attention, that's wonderful. And council has, all deliberative bodies have a hard time with this whole business. For governmental entities, this is really more, probably better described as unfinished business. It's not a time to bring up something and add it to the agenda. There was a motion to postpone, or motion to table, like we have for this one. It'd be a good time to bring that up in old business. This is like, we talked about this, corridor thing a couple months ago. I'd like to make a motion about, let's direct staff to whatever. That wouldn't be proper. Good reading. That's what old business means. Likewise, new business, we want to be very careful that we give the public adequate notice of what's going to be on the agenda. So we don't want to bring up something brand new and add it to the agenda unless there's an emergency circumstance. That's the only exception.
Thank you.
Are we on new business?
Yes.
Oh, new business. I have something I'd like to add. Regarding the plat approval, it just made me think about that I would like to see staff, and I want y'all's opinion on it, but I would like to see staff at each of our meetings give us an update as to where they are with different projects that have become public knowledge. And the reason is that I'm oftentimes stopped on the road, oh, what's going on with the XYZ project that hit the paper that day, and I didn't get a chance to read the paper that day, and kind of blindsided by some of the things that now have reached a public knowledge status of a project that's taking place, whether it be a subdivision or something otherwise. So it'd be great if we could add to the agenda each time if there is a staff update of things that are happening. I think it might improve the popularity of the meeting as well, so that people could be given information of what's going on.
Good idea.
Sounds good to me.
And I think if you go back and read what a planning commission is, they're supposed to plan. And if they don't have a clue, it's hard to plan.
And, Mr. Chairman, since, like I said, Chairman is the ultimate kind of arbiter of what's on the agenda, barring some maneuverings that could happen during the meeting, you can just take that up and say, if you're for that, which I think is a really good idea, you can just ensure that that has a placeholder on agendas going forward.
Okay.
And then it's
Right.
at least we have that, just like old business, new business is always there.
Mhm.
We have staff update.
Okay, so we'll do that. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I'll second you. I don't think you need one, but
Thank you.
We still do have a vote on that one, I know that's another
Yep.
business session, but under our rules, we have a vote on motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
We usually take it as a vote by action.
As a gimme.
we're all running out the door. We voted.
They vote in favor.
When I get in my car, you know I voted yes.